have a new company, and this new company.
By the way, when people say, like, when Joe Rogan says, like, you're sowing the seeds, the algorithm is sowing the seeds of hatred or whatever the fuck, he doesn't literally mean the algorithms are, actually creating people to believe in vaccine misinformation or are responsible for, like, a genocide in Myanmar or are, actively fucking creating a situation where, like, basically there's adult onset schizophrenia that, like, 90% of conservatives are brought upon themselves. He means the opposite. Like, conservatives are getting fucking owned on the timeline, and that's bad, which is of course ridiculous.
He's going to be virtually reality based, where he's literally he reenacted a scene from Black Mirror.
Yeah, well,
which is unironically.
I know, and you know what makes me a little.
Yeah, like imagine sitting across from Ben motherfucking Shabibo. Ben. Facebook is my primary platform, Shabibo, and criticizing the Facebook algorithm, which, of course, Ben has, like, made a living shitting on the Facebook algorithm, crying to fucking legislators, crying to people that actually have lobbying power to lobby Facebook to change its algorithm in an effort that favors him, who is literally one of the most successful broadcasters on the platform. He will still, of course, cry about, oh man, conservatives are getting owned on Facebook.
Sad. I think that it's gonna happen.
You think it's gonna happen?
Yeah, I think that you and I are of a different generation, dude. I think there are a lot of kids who are growing up in Fortnite world and spend a lot, and I think the pandemic really accelerated this. There are a lot of people who lived online for the entire pandemic, and so for people like me and for people like my parents, not seeing other humans for a long time was actually quite painful and terrible. Like, we actually did want to get out and be with the community and see friends and do that sort of stuff. What if you spend your entire life, from the time you're a little kid, interacting with screens? What if those screens are getting increasingly sophisticated so that they are...
What if those screens actually have someone like, I don't know, socialist Twitch streamer, this Hasanabi guy, okay, Hasanabi. He's out here talking about socialism this, socialism that. Why doesn't he socialize some bitches?
Are interacting with you in ways that humans would. What if you get to be whatever... Like, we're a society, we were just talking about this, where you get to be whatever you want to be. What if there's a world where you actually can be and everybody sees you the way you want to be seen? Would you rather live there where you're, like, rich and good looking and everybody likes you? Or would you rather live in the real world where you're disconnected from all of that and you end up with, like, Ready Player One world? I think
it's going to happen. It's as long as it...
Did he say tall? Oh, no, I missed it. I got to run that again.
I think
it's going to happen.
What if you get to be whatever...
What if you get to...
We're a society where...
What if you get to live in a world where you can please your wife and she no longer has to sleep in a separate bed, in a separate room, away from you? What if you live in a world where your wife actually does have a wet-ass P word rather than a dry-ass P word?
We were just talking about its entire life, from the time you're a little kid, interacting with screens. What if those screens are getting increasingly sophisticated so that they are interacting with you in ways that humans would? What if you get to be whatever... Like, we're a society, we were just talking about this, where you get to be whatever you want to be. What if there's a world where you actually can be and everybody sees you the way you want to be seen? Would you rather live there where you're, like, rich and good looking and everybody likes you? Or would you rather live in the real world where...
Oh, man. He didn't say tall. I got you baited into thinking he actually said tall. That would have been fucking sick. That would have been funny as fuck, dude. If you're, like, tall and play basketball and you're actually good...
Where you're disconnected from all of that and you end up with, like, Ready Player One world. I think...
It's going to happen. It's as long as it can become indistinguishable from reality, which it will be able to be. It's going to take time, whether it's 5 years or 10 years. If you go back and look at Pong, which was the first game that I ever saw when I was a child, it's
freaking boomer, dude. I mean, this guy plays Quake.
Ridiculous. It's like a white ball that bounces across, and you have a straight line.
Two paddles. Yep.
That's a paddle. And it's the dumbest game that you could never convince a child to play today. They'd be like, get the fuck out of here with that stupid game. I can go play.
That's actually not even true, though. Like, I don't even think that that's true. I think people still play, like, versions of that game regularly. Another example is Snake, right? So I had a Nokia phone back in the day. Indestructible, by the way. They literally had to stop them because you could never destroy them. So the company went bankrupt because it was just the most powerful thing on the planet. Survives, like, nuclear winter. Tetris is another game. It's like one of the earliest games developed. Snake is another game. There are versions of those games that people still play. So that's not even true. They're just, like, brilliant fucking games that people still absolutely play that.
a fucking Halo, right? But back then, when I was a child, that was a big deal. If you extrapolate, if you just go in the future from now, what they have available now with these insane video graphics, the Unreal Engine, and then move yourself 20 years in the future, it's going to be indistinguishable.
And the AI is getting better and better in terms of being able to imitate human behavior, in terms of being able to innovate on its own.
And haptic feedbacks.
Facebook algo is censoring us. The top 10 performing link posts by U.S. Facebook pages in the last 24 hours are from Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, All K-Pop, NPR, Dan Bongino, Newsmax, twice, Ben Shapiro.
Suits and all these different things and all these video games that they have that emulate sports. They're getting so close. When you watch these basketball games and the UFC has a game, when you watch these the players, the fighters move around, like, God, it's so close. It's not quite there, but they're getting better and better with each iteration, and it's just a matter of time.
And what I wonder is if we are innovating ourselves, and when it comes to this stuff, if we're innovating ourselves out of existence as a civilization.
But don't you think that's probably where this goes, no matter what?
No, I think then the barbarians come to the gate. I think that's what happens.
Really?
Because the real world still exists. So if you innovate an entire generation of people, and let's just take this on the most baseline demographic level, none of them get married, none of them have babies. In 2 generations, this ain't going to matter. You're going to have a good time in the virtual reality, and then there are going to be no babies to carry this on. And the only people on Earth are going to be religious Jews, religious Catholics.
What the fuck? Dude, this is like, I mean, this is just madness. Like this, every part of this take is just like insane, dude. I don't know how else to describe it other than just like, what a psychotic fucking take, dude.
Catholics and religious Muslims, and that's it.
The vulnerability lies in the power grid. The power
My man said slippery slopes. I slide down them, okay? I not only am the size of a child and have the brain of one, I also slide on slippery slopes like a child. Do you understand?
So vulnerable that if someone just detonated the power grid, all this stuff stops, and then you have no life. Your life is completely, you've invested it completely in this augmented world, this virtual world. But this virtual world, all you have to do is pull the plug, and it's out. And it's out for millions of people. It's like the equivalent of dropping a nuclear bomb on a culture. Like if you really all live inside of a computer system, some sort of a
VR, it's virtual reality. Yeah, no, that's right. And what I fear is that when you do that to a civilization, it's basically the equivalent of you bring in a wild animal and you put it in a cage for a long time, and now you can't release it back in the wild, right? It's going to get eaten. What happens to you as a civilization? Right? What happens if you've taken an entire generation of people, told them that their entire life exists online, they don't have to interact with other humans, they don't have to interact in human ways with other humans, and then there's like an entire other Earth out there that isn't doing any of this. Right? By the way, China's not doing this. Right? No. China's banned.
This is like not true. It's literally not true. They take like 1 or 2 things from China that fits their narrative, and they're like, China's not doing this. They're actually doing the opposite. It's like, no, you read one article that was like immediately falsified like a day later, and you just think that that's what's going on in China. That's not even happening in China.
Banning it.
Yeah.
China's banning it. China's saying you're not allowed to go online certain days of the week if you're a kid, right? We're going to ban the kind of stuff that you can see. So in the long run, which civilization is going to be more durable? The one that actually understands the vulnerabilities of human nature, or the one that says we're going to use those vulnerabilities to make you feel
like China literally has talent farms for Twitch streamers, okay? Like it's so nuts to just act like the world's single-handedly largest consumer of like mobile games and single-handedly largest consumer of like fucking just everything electronic is actually simultaneously taking serious measures to stop people from engaging in the internet and in the online space. Motherfucker also only loves China when he suspects that they are, in a very authoritarian capacity, stopping people from doing what they want to do on the internet. Like, this is wild.
Feel subjectively happier. I'm amazed.
Like, China, terrible when it comes to building high-speed rail. Very bad. Not good at all. China, not good at, distributing the overwhelming amount of wealth that they've been able to fucking capture from greedy American capital owners by throwing their labor force at the problem, but still, trying to build certain parts of the economy in a very effective way and eradicating poverty through socialized programs. Very bad. China, very good when they stop you from playing video games, even though they're not. But I thought that they are because I read an article that said that they are.
At the level of conditioning, like here's what killed me about the pandemic, honestly. Like what killed me, the level of conditioning that it took in order to rejigger how people think was so low. It shocked the hell out of me. It really shocked me. I was talking to my business partner, Jeremy Boring, about this, and early on in the pandemic, he was like, people aren't going to stand for this. Like when they'd shut everything down, it's like 3 months from now, people are going to be losing their minds. They're going to be out on the streets protesting to get.
Wow, dude, how brilliant. You said that people were not going to like being trapped indoors during a pandemic.
Get rid of the masks and they're going to be out at ball games again. I was like, that's not right. I think it'll take a year. We're like a year and a half in, and half the country's still like, well, you know, what if this just kind of continues? Like, all right, I guess. Like the amount of dependency that was bred by people saying, just go back to your house, and people be like,
who the fuck? That's not even true, dude. What the fuck? First of all, humans are the most profound capability of human beings is their capacity to adapt to circumstances, okay? Like, we make the most of the situation that we're forced into. So that's not really like a incredible fucking assessment. But even then, people absolutely fucking hated it. Like this idea that human beings love being trapped indoors is so fucking categorically false. And you can see that with foot traffic. You can see that with the willingness that people had to become move into the post-pandemic world. You can measure that with how much COVID spread. It's like a very specific subsect of people that personally are like either agoraphobic or have social anxiety that wanted to stay indoors and were most likely staying indoors regardless unless they were forced to, that are not fucking doing that. But other than that, most people want to go outside. That's crazy.
Human beings are really adaptable. And this is something that Brett Weinstein and Heather Heying talk about, right? That's our superpower. We're super duper adaptable.
Yeah.
So we're super adaptable.
To our own detriment.
Sometimes to our own detriment. So if we change our social circumstances radically in a way that's unhealthy for us, and we are now interacting with technologies that were built to take advantage of our lizard brain.
You hate to see that. I'm going to be honest with you. You fucking hate to see that. When you're in agreement with Brett Weinstein.
Yeah.
Then what happens when there are people who are just not engaging in the same, they're not playing the same game
dude.
That we are, right? We're essentially drugging ourselves. Robert Nozick is the libertarian philosopher. He talks at one point about what he calls the experience machine. It's the thought experiment. And the experience machine is basically VR. He's writing this in early 1960s. He says, what if there was a machine where you could plug into it, you'd feel the illusion of choice, you'd feel as though your choices had some sort of significance, and it would give you the dopamine hit that you get in regular life. Would you plug into it or would you not?
Right.
And his theory was you wouldn't plug into it because you still want to feel like your life has real world consequences. But what if everybody you know is in that experience machine? Then you're the one who gets left out if you're not in the experience machine.
What is real world? I mean, that's what the problem is. That analogy was created before the sophistication of computer systems has reached the point now where you can look at it 20 years from now and you kind of get an understanding of where it's going to be. When you're dealing with what's possible now, I don't think you're going to be able to stop people from doing it because I think it's going to be so overwhelmingly addictive. You look at how many people are just addicted to looking at their Instagram.
Yep.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I mean, it's nothing. The dopamine hit you get off of this little phone, it's minimal, but people are completely all in on it.
Yep. And I think that I do wonder if there's going to be, and I wonder what you think about this, if there's going to be a bifurcation in the same way there's been a bifurcation about so many issues between the people at the top of sort of the elite spectrum and the rest of the population, where the people at the elite spectrum are making the metaverse, but their kids aren't actually in the metaverse.
Right. Like Steve Jobs didn't let his kid use an iPad.
Exactly. I'm on the internet. My kids are 7, 5, and 1. They're not allowed. We don't have the TV on in our house. My kids.
Wait. So he's saying he's one of the elites? He's like, I'm not letting my kids do that shit. Also, I am simultaneously on the internet all the time and make a living off of the internet. But I will not let my kids be on the internet. Do people not realize how shit VR is right now? Yeah, people don't get it. people that talk about VR in this way have actually never used the VR system, because it would take you about 15 minutes before you feel like you want to throw up if you ever fucking touched a VR system as it is currently, and how bulky it is, how expensive it is, and how, like, unfortunately, and I love the idea, I love the concept, but like VR is not great right now. It's with the exponential growth of technology, who knows? Maybe we can get there in like 10 years. People say 50. I think you could get there in 10.